Yes, so welcome all of you to join the workshop. Without your participation, we wouldn't have the workshop. Of course, also thanks to all the speakers. Now, there were maybe one or two questions that came up in the meantime or which you didn't have time to ask, so we can start with that. Is there anything you would like to ask about one of the presentations that you couldn't ask earlier? Like Mario, you had a question that you couldn't ask, and I don't, maybe you remember.
It's not a Nobel Prize question, but it was a really nice insight into language bindings or bindings between languages. The example you showed suggests to me that there's a lot of synchronization primitives implemented in the grant, read and write grants, right? How do you? I was just wondering, because I don't know either of these languages in detail, on which atomic primitives do they, so how is the test and set implemented, and whether this has some impact on your proof obligations that might eventually come out of the effort that you're attempting. Does the question make sense?
Yes, I don't know in detail, so I'm not 100% sure if I am giving the right answer, but I assume that this is implemented with specific hardware support for incrementing a counter or checking it atomically. So probably it uses the same underlying implementation on both sides. You just have to make sure it uses the right one.
And do you think they are using C or directly or even below the operating system stuff directly, or some C library which?
Well, at least it is accessed through a C library, okay. But I'd have to ask the student, who is unfortunately not here today. So
no worries. But anyway, thank you. That was already a question.
Any more questions?
Okay, thanks. Then we have closed the technical questions, but now there is maybe a more general discussion for the next up to, say, 20 minutes. How do we continue? Is the application of formal methods in general something that can warrant its own community and workshop? The workshop that we've had for the 8th time. Is the workshop in the right new home here? Because after COVID, because of scheduling reasons mostly, we decided to try to collocate with a different event. We used to be with ICFEM, which is quite a similar target audience like this one. Now we are with Splash and Uppsala, where there is some overlap. For example, we have SAS, which is about code analysis, but the overlap is sometimes also at the same time. And the main conference maybe doesn't provide as much of a synergy as we were hoping, and so we didn't get a lot of papers. Maybe we didn't get so many papers because there are other events like ATWA and I think PLDC and ESOLA. So the timing was quite unfortunate this year. So we wonder a bit if, from your impression, do you think there is a potential to grow this event again in the future? Is there maybe another conference that you would really like to attend where it would be easier to collocate this with? What are your opinions?
Is this the first time?
It's the second time with Splash.
That was the question.
Okay. Yeah, so we had it last year in New Zealand, and we got about twice as many papers and at least about double the crowd, a bit more for the morning keynote, and then a bit less for the presentations. So it was also in early December, I think, last year. So it was quite a different time of the year when there are no other conferences that are important. So that helped probably. And the location was actually quite remote for almost anyone, and that didn't deter people from submitting papers. And we thought that this year in Europe, it's a little easier. I mean, Portugal is quite remote within Europe, but at least it's still a short-haul flight for most. So we thought there would be more people than in New Zealand.
I have maybe another best guess that could also be a cause for fewer submissions. The IFM and CEFM were roughly at a similar time regarding the submissions.
Yeah, the deadline is important. Yeah.
The deadlines are important, and also even these two conferences, they overlap quite strongly. So even they had problems with soliciting a number of papers from the grapevine. I heard that they also had comparatively few submissions.
How many did SCFM have?
No,
There's another one, so there's also
IFM and SEFM. Yeah, I don't remember it by heart, but I can have a look. But also the other more meta comment that I wanted to give is there is a range of venues that overlap topic-wise, and if they all take place regarding the submission deadline within a few weeks, I think it has become harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, also ICFEM had a very disappointing turnout in the submissions this year, if I remember correctly. Something like 45 papers.
And the last comment, maybe adding to that, is my also impression that currently the trend in AI and ML draws in quite a few formal method submissions. So it could kind of combine a little to the detriment of the traditional venues. That would be my hypothesis.
I'll also give my 2 cents here. Maybe what you were suggesting, having a conference which is more either towards formal techniques, formal methods, or safety critical systems could help keeping people in the loop, and they are maybe already kind of thinking about going there. I don't know, DSN, IFM, SEFM. We've named a few here. Maybe the stronger link or SafeComp even, can help with the submissions.
Yeah, so one candidate we had in mind just tentatively is Artho next year. Artho next year would take place in Kyoto. I don't know when. When I asked the organizer, he didn't even know yet when exactly. But it would be a very attractive location. And one danger is also that we don't want to have the exact same scope as the main conference, because otherwise it's just a collection of rejected papers that you get. So Artho has a closer fit, but is not exactly the same, so that could be nice. We want probably something like that. We were hoping the same from Splash and Uppsala, but it's maybe a little bit too much in the direction of analyzing or working with software, not necessarily analyzing software, but it's less at the systems level, so that the joint part of the audience is maybe a bit too small.
There is Embedded Systems Week and CPS Week as well. So I wonder whether you have considered these week events.
Aren't they usually in the US?
Embedded Systems Week, I thought it was in Europe. CPS Week is normally in the US. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we don't want to go there.
Well, I personally haven't attended these events before, but it could be an option if it's not too often in the US, if it's like every...
Oh, CPS Week was in Portugal, actually, last time it was 2017, I think it was in Portugal. Oh, 18, yeah.
No, but it's we had a paper themselves, right? So a few years ago. So yeah,
So I guess Peter's and my personal preference are also countries where it's not too onerous to travel to in terms of all the security theater and like ESTA and all this that you have to get. It's just like extra work. and maybe places that are nice to visit, which is the case here. We have not enough time this time to really enjoy the venue. That would also be the case in Kyoto, obviously. There's so much to see there that it's a great destination for anyone, so this could increase the audience also.
There's another multi-conference, not every year, FLOC, which is usually, as far as I know, in Europe. And FLOC, and I wonder, because I don't know how much, how safety...
Every 4 years.
It's only every 4 years,
Yeah,
oh,
and
okay.
last year it was in Israel, in 2022.
Right, okay.
So probably it's already written somewhere in the web, whereas in 4 years to come. I don't know.
Okay, that's not practical, okay, thanks.
Okay, but in any case, we would be looking into late 2024 or early 2025. I mean, because there are so many events in fall, it might actually be good to have something in spring, but then we'll have to see if the deadlines are suitable for us, and not only to submit, but also to review. One advantage was that in the past, the deadlines tended to work well with other conferences, that we were able to kind of snatch papers during a window when there was nothing available otherwise, but this time we had the opposite, that we were competing with other deadlines.
So I had a question more about like the general topic of the conference. So like when you say the formal method for safety critical system, like anything that I think of in formal method can be applied to safety critical systems.
Sort of point, right? That's in general.
So like, because I wanted to submit a paper to this initially, but then I was not sure if it's a fit, like if it's, you know, if it even makes sense to submit here. I submitted to PPDP and it was rejected, but it's a different thing. So like, I think there is some option there to like, you know, make it more elaborate, like what topic you are seeking, and so it's clear to the authors that, okay, this is a venue where a paper would be a good fit for.
Yes, it's not so easy to change the title without changing the acronym, but maybe we just want to make clear that security is also quite welcome, I think. We didn't have anything about security this time. We had one paper that was not quite polished and not so clearly focused, which was about security, which we didn't accept among the submissions. But we actually also welcome formal methods about security. Now, FTSCS is a bit too long and clumsy, so we might have to just make this clear in some way without changing the name. Maybe formal methods for safety criticality and security. It could be a way to rename it. But yeah, we'll continue to discuss this offline during the coffee break and after. So we still have to wait 10 minutes or so probably before we can get coffee, but we'll see. So it will soon be ready. And then I'd like to thank you all for staying until the end. And
Yeah, thank you, everybody. So
then let's enjoy the coffee. And thanks to the organizers too.